The My batteries died on me, but hey, I got a phone. Hey, we're gonna say like they said in the church, or like we used to say in the church, the devil is a liar. Oh God. But bro, it's crazy, bro, how the correlation of that story is very much like is parallel with what happened with this black family in the military, where she went behind the man's back, received that microchip. She got a whole bro. She got a whole microchip in her right hand, bro, and was telling her husband, that she wanted some microchips in her kids' hands too. But the military was telling her that they not old enough. They got to be. They have to wait until they're 3 years old before they can put some microchips in their hand, and she want to get them chipped as soon as they're old enough. And when I tell you how the kind of anger that was in that man was pissed off, to say the least. He was livid, to say the least. That she went behind his back, took the chip, and probably don't even know nothing about the spiritual significance of doing something like that. I'm like, bro, it was crazy too, because I was like, bro, I'm looking at a damn soul. I'm looking at somebody who will bust hell wide open as soon as they die, no matter what they do. I mean, they're beyond repentance. They're beyond salvation. It's too late for them. And if he gets it, it'll be too late for him. If he allows their children to get it, it'll be to now. I believe that their children will be spared because they're beyond. They're not within the age of accountability. So, God ain't gonna send no 3-year-olds to hell for having the mark of the beast forced on them. I don't think, I know God wouldn't do nothing like that. No better than that. Whereas, if they're 14, 15, you're within the age of accountability. So, bro, that would be a tough time being a teenager in a time where you got to live with your parents who like gung-ho with receiving the mark of the beast. I'm like, bro, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. That was crazy. But that all correlates to, like I said, the direct correlation before Adam followed Eve in sin. The correlation where she ate of the fruit, she was in sin, Adam was still sinless. What was the plan? What was the plan? What was supposed to have been the game plan when that happened? Because obviously, God wasn't going to allow Adam to continue to be with Eve. Which is why when Eve sinned, which is why when Adam sinned as well, both of them were thrown out the garden. And there was a very good reason why they were thrown out the garden too. It wasn't God having a temper tantrum. It was really God trying to, set the plan in motion so that, so that they could, retain their mortality, because as long as they were in that garden, not only would they have perverted the garden, on top of that, they would have been immortal beings in sin, which means being eternal beings in sin would have meant they would have been damned to hell. Much like the mark of the beast, ironically enough. Having access to eternity, having access to immortality, while still carrying sin on you. That's a problem. That's a problem. A huge problem. So, with me seeing the woman in a steadily sloping decline. Now, hear me out, people. This is just my humble opinion. Because there's some people, and I know these people directly and personally, who genuinely believe that the whole name of the game is to get out there and pry for that little needle in the haystack, to go through a whole sea of garbage ass females who proverbially, who have metaphorically and figuratively have eaten of the forbidden fruit, have received the mark of the beast. Because to me, it's ironically enough, it's one and the same. It's one and the same, except the mark of the beast is far more damning. Far more damning. God can't do nothing about that, and he won't. It ain't so much that he can't, he won't. Do nothing about the mark of the beast. And I would not be surprised when that time comes. I would not be surprised how many folks in my own family, when presented with such a thing, would be out there receiving the mark of the beast. You don't think I've spoken to my mother about the mark? And you know what my mother's reaction to that was? When I explained to this Christian who doesn't seem to know or care, because she's tied to Babylon. It is what it is. She's tied to the Section 3 church, or whatever the hell they call them things to describe the tax exemption from these churches. Well, you still gotta eat, you still gotta pay bills. What you gonna do? Cop out. My mother has shown me, just like so many other toxic females that I've had the complete and utter displeasure of running into and enduring and surviving, who they are. Just who they are and what they're about. And after having experienced all that, endured all that, and having survived all that, it only makes sense. Now, again, we are sinful beings. We are in sin, because Adam passed that sin nature down to us. That's why, instead of making lamb sacrifice, and it's y'all gonna trip out, bro. It's crazy too, because I just bought like 3 legs of lamb. But yeah, we don't have to actually use physical lambs for the remission of our sins. We have the Lamb of God. We have Agnus Dei, y'all. Yeah. We have Yeshua as the lamb for our remission of sin. For our remission of sins. And I don't say that to be facetious or mocking, No, I say glory. In fact, I say glory to God in the highest, that we don't have to slaughter actual lamb. So, the lamb that I cook, the lamb meat that I cook tomorrow, y'all, I can actually enjoy it. Because, if it's a sacrifice, y'all can, no, that's to the Most High. You can't eat that. Whatever kind of oxen, whatever kind of cattle and lambs that you offering to God for the remission of your sin, you can't eat that. You can't eat that ish. You can't eat that. That's for God. Besides whatever is spared after, because it's my understanding that, the priest, when God came to receive the offerings, that, it would just be this, like I said, like the bush, that consuming fire that would just summon the, and the oxen and the lambs would be burned to a crisp, or whatever was left. I guess that was what was left for the people to eat. I think. Don't quote me on that. But yes, we still are in sin. We're born in sin. We have the sin condition. We still have the sin condition. But the thing about it is, the thing that separates us from the world, if you will, and thus the world's women, because how many of us are running into godly women, bro? How many of us are running into Proverbs 31 women? Not a whole lot. Let's just call it what it is, bro. Even if they are up in that church, and when they are, usually more often than not, they're washed. More often than not, because that's how women work, bro. When they're young and sexy and fine and all this other stuff, they out here basically living for the devil 7 ways to Sunday. It's only when they hit the epiphany phase. It's only when they hit the wall. It's only when they turn 30. All of a sudden, they want to give God all the glory. All of a sudden, they want to repent. That's how this works, bro. That's how this works. And yes, it goes without saying that those women from 14 years ago, like, bro, we were all in our 20s. 14 years ago, I was 24. 10 years ago, I was 27, 28. The women, ironically enough, that I was dealing with during those time periods were both 21. Which is why I say, even if by some happenstance they did come back, it ain't no way I would take them. I wouldn't take them. Just off of what AC told us, that, you know, if they rejected you in their prime, you reject them in their decline. Because, hey, I hate to be on some mock shit, but bruh, I'm a little particular about hairlines, bro. Y'all like, oh, this nigga petty as this ninja petty. Yes. I'm a little peculiar about hairlines, bro. And one of the females, the second one, bro, I hate to be on some stalk shit, but I saw her on Facebook once, bro. And then it just hit me one day. I was like, bruh, where her hair? I was like, bro, where is the hair on her forehead? Why am I looking at a receding hairline? Because she can't be no older than, 31 maybe? And, you know, even with the benefit of her being, quote unquote, I don't know, like half Asian, actually both of them were. You know, when you have Keisha for a friend, and Keisha putting all them chemicals in her hair, hey, you got to do as Keisha do. That means you got to put all kinds of crazy ass chemicals in your head. Burn your edges off. Burn the front tip of your hairline off. Because that's just something that I've paid notice, bro. Like, and it's something that, you know, I didn't always do. I don't know if I've always been like that, but I just noticed it was just like there was some other female not too long ago. Like, when I came out here and got hired on my company, there was a female in HR that, you know, I dare say there was some kind of, I dare say, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that, and it really don't matter now. Shit. 'Cause it ain't nothing going on now, and it never will be, so, hey, maybe that was the chance and she blew it, so it is what it is. But there might have been some kind of chemistry going on between us, because I remember being static electrocuted by her, and I just took that as a sign of, like, she's really excited, like, and she's definitely seemed excited about meeting me for the first time. And then years later, because like I said, she's a member of HR, and we were doing an interview, and you see the like on the phone interviews, so I got to see her after a good minute, a good while, and I saw the bro. Not to be facetious or nothing like that, but I saw the hair missing up on her forehead, like the front part of the hairline. Like that whole piece was missing. And like I said, bro, I know these women are in their early 30s and they already missing, like, bro, their hairlines are already receding like that. My hair is thinning. And I feel some type of way about this shit. I'm like, bro, I'm not ready to lose my hair. Now, having said that, I can still grow a full head of hair. But, and yeah, when it's fully grown, it looks like, a full head of hair, but nevertheless, it's thinner. And, it was actually my brother who made me aware of that a few years ago. I think I told y'all this. So, being and it's genetic, it is, because, when I saw my father, and I ain't picking on my dad, but, he's up in age, and he has a full course of hair, but all over there were just bald spots. It was like clumps of hair all, around. They were like clumps, pockets. Now, having said that, I have way more hair on the part of my hairline that's receding. I have way more than that, but it's definitely thinner. And I've been doing something about it because, so along with genetics, I got to worry about the dry air out here, especially during the wintertime. So since, at least for the past 4 years, I've been collecting all these. I stopped using the regular shampoo that I used to, the stuff that got sulfates in it. And I've been using all kinds of conditioners and oils, because I'm trying to keep my hair as long as I can. As long as I can. So, but that goes back to that scripture. What is it? Beauty is vain and charm is deceitful. But I hate to get that far on a tangent, and y'all know y'all know where these videos go. Like it's only a matter of time before it does get on a tangent. But but yeah, man, it just hit me one day because I'm still going through this. I'm still being haunted by the memories of these women that I had directly in their prime. They were young, they were feminine, they were beautiful. And even to this day, years after the fact, I'm haunted by the memories of what I at least got to experience. In that sea, mind you, in that cesspool. Because Memphis is a cesspool, Denver's a cesspool. I know a cesspool when I see one. I lived in one. I escaped from one just to end up in another goddamn cesspool. Make it make sense. So I know a cesspool when I see one. That's why I tell Denver, show me something I haven't seen before. And if your answer is a gun, I've been held at gunpoint. What are you talking about? Your best bet of showing me something I haven't seen before, like I said, is a harem of your best, finest, and sexiest women. Anything short of that, you gonna miss the curve. You gonna miss the mark. Hey, either that or money, a gang of money. Cause like I said, at least I got my paper right coming out here. That much I've done. But having said all that, it finally dawned on me that if I'm gonna suffer, if I'm gonna grieve, and if this is the point where I have to draw the line with women the way Adam was supposed to have drawn the line with Eve, instead of going along with her, instead of walking along in sin with her, this is the time. It's time to cut these toxic broads off. And I'm not calling my mother a toxic broad. Well, at least I'm not calling her a broad, but I'm saying women as a whole. It's time to cut you mishes off. And I'm finally starting to see something men are doing that I been did years ago. And you know what that is? They're giving the fuck up. They're giving up. They are sick and tired of being called creeps, of being gaslit, of being manipulated, of doing all this manipulative ass ring around the rosy shit, all for the sake of this so-called happy wife, happy life narrative. Now the narrative is no wife, happy life. Because just because my father is in that was a firework, at least I think it was. Just because my father is in his second marriage, that doesn't mean that I'm supposed to just believe that there's something out there for me and then pursue it like a fool. Now, especially after the females of Denver have shown me who and what they are, which is nothing short of what I ran into in Memphis. But I'll give the Denver females this. Some of them look way better in the looks. But it's the mind though, so that's what's nullified. It's their mindset. So that ain't much to scream on. So it is what it is. But to me, I just had to come to realize that it's not fair, especially after the way. Now, if had my mother had the kind of relationship with me that my grandmother had with me, it would be a completely different story. But that's not the story. It's just like somebody told me a long time ago, one of my friends, Memphis doesn't deserve me. So if I'm doing the most and doing my best and doing all this and doing all that, why am I going back to a city that has made an effort to keep me from doing all of that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And resisted me all the way. Put me through the ringer, put me through pure hell. All the while I was striving for something better than the life of a typical Section 8 welfare receiving Negro. It makes no sense. It at some point it just stops making sense. And then it's like the veil comes off and you finally get to see just how toxic, just how disgusting, just how manipulative this society really is. And why the Bible actually is really calling us out of this society. Why it talks about how we're peculiar and why we must be separate. All we get to experience from this world is exactly what thus saith the Most High, like what he been said a gazillion years ago. we're finally getting to experience. Well, I dare say we've been experienced that. We're finally, bringing things to, closure, to perspective, conclusion about what's really going on behind the surface, underneath the surface, which is probably why, like I said, with me deleting and blocking my mother's phone number, that was probably God clapping his hands, seeing those fireworks. Because, bro, out of the blue, and then, I mean, bro, look at what I'm looking at right now. The moon dead in center, as if the moon is serving as a microphone. It's almost like God's hearing me speak directly into it and speak, basically speaking to the universe. What I've learned over the years, and what I've basically had to come to learn just for the sake of, like I said, preserving and protecting my peace. One of the fruits of the Spirit is peace. And I'm telling you, bro, when you got peace, bro, I wouldn't trade peace for all the booty in this world. And I'm the heterosexual version of what's that nigga name? That weird ass nigga, Fleece Johnson. I am the heterosexual version. I'm a booty warrior too. The problem is, I'm not on demon time like to him. He'll deal with any kind of booty. And his specialty just happens to be man butt. I don't do man butt. I don't do strag butt. So I guess the ultimate, like the overall message is we got to walk away from butt. And that's hard coming from, because shit, my whole bloodline consists of freaks. The women's in my family, both sides of my family, love them some niggas. And the niggas in my family love them some women's. So, bro, my whole life, I've been a whole sex machine. But again, look at the strumpets. Look at the Jezebels. The type of females that I've had the complete and utter displeasure of running into. And the way I see it, ain't nothing about it's gonna change. So, at this point, it don't make no kind of sense. Hoping one day the time is gonna come where we gonna run into the likes of, members of the females of female cast members of Family Matters, be that Laura, be it her friend Maxine, or even Myra. Females who could have, in today's age, could easily have gotten it. No, bro. It just dawned on me one day. And I think the thing that caused it to dawn on me was y'all would be amazed as far as where I even got that revelation from. And believe it or not, it's not so much the Bible per se, not at least the Christian Bible. It was actually the Hebrew Bible, with the very same scriptures, with the very same context, but it was, not only was it the Torah, but it was a version of the Torah called Etzaim, which in Hebrew means the tree of life. And all I did one day was I opened that book, and it's not like your classic Kabbalah book, like, Sefer Yetzirah or HaSefer Yetzirah or HaZohar or HaBahir. It wasn't a book on the Kabbalah. It was the Torah. Etzaim is nothing more than the Torah. And after looking into this version of the Torah, and I dare say, for all I know, I was probably reading out of Bereshit, Genesis. And who's to say? I was probably reading, the same scripture that I, would have otherwise read, out of my quote unquote Christian Bible, the King James version of the Bible. But it just seemed to have hit different when I read from the Hebrew Bible. And that's when it finally dawned on me that, okay, women have shown me who they are for the most part. They're wicked as hell. Hey, just like the scriptures say they are. Just like thus saith the Most High. A gazillion years ago, he said that they're like this. So, big surprise there, right? So, it just dawned on me one day that it only makes perfect sense. And it's obvious that it's time to separate from them. As much as possible. Not just in relation, from the workforce, from every aspect of life. And our MGTOW philosophy, our red pill philosophy, has been doing damage to our quote-unquote society. We've been bringing down wedding stores. We've been bringing down restaurants because ain't nobody dating no more. Ain't nobody dating like that. And see, the thing about me that I very much resent is this whole notion of, well, if it's like this energy going on, right? That it's almost like this plight that if whether or not you're non-select or a nerd or whatever, cornball, whatever it is that, that's causing you not to obtain the favor of females, right? Particularly of a certain age group, which is when they're in their prime. It's almost like the lack thereof that comes as a result are these men dealing with their mothers, being it, or women their mother's age or even older, where you're just some 30 to 40-year-old man-child who's basically in some strange, on some strange son-husband Oedipus Rex complex type of relationship with older broads. And I would tell anybody, an older broad can get it. With the exception of my mother, of course, I ain't on that incest shit. But a woman my mother's age or around my mother's age, they can get it too. I'm almost 40 years old. I ain't no little ass boy. It was last year. It was some light-skinned broad who I know was probably, I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't a day over 60 and had a big old light-skinned bayang. And I walked right up to her just like I used to walk up to younger females. Because in fact, the name of the game, my game, is getting older broads and clapping their cheeks. Because the urge isn't gonna go away. I've accepted that. It's called being a man. It's part of being a man. But this whole thing of having quote unquote the only kind of female interaction that you have access to is somebody who's your mother, somebody old enough to be your mother, and ain't nothing sexual going on. Not that I'd want it to. I'm thinking of other people I'd rather not mention. We not doing that. We're not doing the Howard Wolowitz, because if I'm gonna be a Howard Wolowitz, I can the least that needs to be going on is that I have the same salary as a Howard Wolowitz. that I got a job. And even Howard Wolowitz at some point found a girlfriend. And I want to say not only did they get married, they actually had a baby. But this, I mean, what we're not going to do is me being the black rendition. So I suppose that means the ghetto rendition of a Howard Wolowitz. Where I live in Denver, Colorado. My mother lives in Olive Branch, Mississippi. And she's calling me from afar. While I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to lead my life until my life is up. Until my life is past spent. All the while, basically, like I said, all the while basically being a son husband. And as much of a coon as Jesse Lee Peterson is, I didn't pay it much, never mind, to this book that he wrote quite a good while ago. But I remember when I was 20. Because it's crazy, too, because, there are people my age, or almost my age, like late 30s, early 40s range, who probably have children, who probably have sons and daughters in the 18, 19, 20-year-old range. And I'm referencing something that I was doing when I was in that age range. And one of those things was reading up on things that basically proved evident to be the plight of my life, if you will. Books like Scam, where Jesse Lee Peterson, like I said, being the coon he is, that's not the point. The fact that he's a coon, exposed the Maxine Waters of the world, the Thurgood Marshalls of the world. I dare even say the Farrakhan's of the world. And I don't say that with kid gloves because I'm not Muslim. I mean, it inspires me to order that book again. Excuse me, to read over that book again. But one section of that book that I distinctly remember, was this section called Overcoming Mama. And that is indeed, take it from my life, amongst all the things, of all the plights in the black man's life, one of those main things are overcoming mama. Because I'm telling you, man, I've done quite a lot to avoid a lot of things that just seem to be the black man's plight, only to run in those things all the same. The fact that I moved to Colorado with degrees in not only Spanish, but German and Japanese. And I'm currently enrolled at the University of Colorado at Denver, majoring in bioengineering, is evidence alone of what I have done and still continue to do to, at the very least, resist the inevitable plight of the Negro, which as far as I can tell, is depend on the system, depend on food stamps, something I've never done, until the fateful day that I get out there and being at the wrong place at the wrong time, either get shot by Glocktavius or be at the wrong place at the wrong time and get mauled to death by one of Glocktavius's pit bulls. Because it got out. And it's in heat or something. And I just happen to be the unlucky motherfucker out at the wrong place at the wrong time. So yeah, dark forces are out here, and I know it, bro. They are mad as fuck, mad as a motherfucker that the tide is finally changing. The tide is finally changing, and it couldn't have come soon enough. That time couldn't have come soon enough. It's been time for the tides to change. But I've made up my mind, though, bro. I've made up my mind. I'm almost 40 years old. And looking back at what females have shown me who and what they are, I've made it, I mean, they have made it abundantly clear that I ain't got no business even being in the same room with them. Much less trying to date, wine, dine, court, things that I wouldn't have done anyway. Because they just didn't have what it takes. That feminine essence and energy that I didn't even have to find. It found me. Shit. You know, in a world, like I said, in a world full of shaming tactics and gaslighting tactics, at the end of the day, when Adam woke up, after God put him in a deep sleep to remove one of his ribs and make Eve, Adam didn't have to go out into the forest or out into the garden to look for Eve. She was sitting right next to him. So if you a man, and you know, another thing that I've noticed is that the more purpose driven, the more determined you are, the more society puts on you as far as the standards. But, you know, come to find out, it was the bum ass niggas who were the ones getting the best and the brightest and the finest of these broads all along. Which again is all the more reason why so many men are going overseas. And it's not just black men, it's white men too. That's what I mean when I say I don't care what race the American woman is. I don't care. She's not to be handled. She's not to be touched. Much less courted. Much less dated. And damn sure much less fucked. Like, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. And another thing we not gonna do is have mama Now, if you just happen to have the kind of relationship that I had with my grandmother, with your mother, that's cool in the gang. That's different. But we know for a fact that most black men simply do not have that kind of relationship with their mothers. And more often than not, we actually do have that kind of relationship with our grandmothers. What I said about my grandmother, there's nothing new about that. That's nothing short of what goes on all the time in the black community. How a lot of us black men are actually, more often than not, we're actually raised by our grandmothers. Now, I'm not, like I said, I'm not sitting up here trying to say that my mother was no account and was just out in these streets. Like, no, she was actually one of the quote unquote responsible ones. She went to work and did all that other good stuff. But I mean, if it wasn't for my father and the foundation he set in that household, it would have all fallen apart. Because I'm like, well, hell, look where it went when he wasn't there. And then he came back, like when he was coming back from active duty, and had to set the whole household in motion. Put us in line, like me and my brother, as well as our mother. And how I had to tell her how I was constantly getting into it with her, because she was the one instigating it, needless to say. It's been like this, bro. And the thing about the past too, bro, is when you're someone like me, when you're dealing with toxic people, it's almost like by default that you're like some sort of case builder, where you can look years down the road and realize that this is the way it's been. There's nothing new about this. For somebody to act like it's all gravy, like it's all straight, bro, that in and of itself is toxic as fuck. That's not right. You can't just, whether it's mental, physical, verbal, whatever, you can't just abuse your children, and now that you need them, think they can't, like, no, they'll walk away from you. And it's my plight. Let me tell you what, speaking of plight, because here's the thing, I'm here to tell everyone who has exposed me to the quote unquote plight of the black man that I am very much resentful of that bullshit. And I'm here to tell anybody who assumes that I'm supposed to just live out this goofy ass plight just off the default of being a black man. First off, I don't owe you niggas a goddamn thing, because you ain't never gave me a goddamn thing. This goes to any motherfucker out there who looked at me and assumed that's a black man. He's supposed to live this way. He's supposed to be that way. And then after all that toxic shit, he's supposed to be doing this for us. Let me tell you something, motherfucker. I don't owe you motherfuckers shit. And second of all I ain't got to do shit except be black and die. That's it. You had your chance with me, bro, and you fucked it all the way up. You fucked it all the way up. I'm not saying that to my mother. I mean, I still honor my mother and father. So when I say what I'm saying now with all this cussing, it's not so much I'm directed that towards my mother. It's not so much I'm directing that towards my mother as much as motherfuckers in my past who genuinely believed, even after me showing them who I am, and what I'm about, that no, this is who you, and these goofy motherfuckers was like, no, this is who you are, this is what you're about, because this is what black people do. And I'm like, and I'm here to tell you, bro, get the fuck out my face with that shit. Go to hell with that shit. Nigga, bust hell wide open with that bullshit. And it's because of that, which is the very reason why I live in Denver, Colorado, and you niggas still live in Memphis. And since I left Memphis, things haven't been getting any better. Scraggle daggles are still blowing each other's brains out over some chicken. I mean, that's the best and most recent example that I can provide as far as what's going on down there. Because it wasn't too long ago, like 2-3 years ago, that Kid Organic pointed out some ninjas down there who was at some barbecue or something, who killed each other over a bucket of KFC. That's the Negro's plight. Hey, that's the Negro's plight. Because if it is, my message to all that bullshit is fuck that noise. Fuck that noise. That ain't this black man's plight. This black man's plight is to figure out his way, create a passive source of income based on his works, which, like I said, have been the STEM fields, the foreign language fields, things that I'm naturally good at. Not basketball, not gang banging, not all that stereotypical nigger bullshit that you Negroes have literally placed your entire identity on, instead of the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, instead of recognizing yourselves as the Hebrews of the Bible. No, your blackness, your identity is based off of what Babylon told you who you are. And then you had the nerve, to project your perception of blackness onto me and think it weird when I don't follow suit. Yet y'all still dropping like flies, eating bullet sandwiches, eating chicken sandwiches that are filled with grease and dying from that, dying as a result, eating bullet sandwiches as a result of chicken sandwiches, because you're fighting for chicken sandwiches, and all these other heart attacks on the bun, and these other heart attacks on 2 slices of bread, all the while your benefactors are laughing all the way at the bank. And I'm here to tell you, Negro, they're laughing at you, not with you. To this goddamn day, to this day, you got all these nations running to the bank, capitalizing off of you, laughing at you instead of with you. Some of us, I mean, we've been recognized, we've been peep game, bro. We just didn't have all the answers, but we definitely do now. And like I said, I'm here to say, fuck all that noise. That is not this black man's plight. I've been saying it for the longest. You got this black man a whole case, a whole universe of fucked up. You got me all kinds of fuck. You got me 4 different quadrants of this universe fucked up. We'd have to go into a whole fucking wormhole into a universe where you running that shit, and that whole spectrum of reality is fucked up. And you got me fucked up in that motherfucker. And that's exactly why we had to get away from you motherfuckers. That's exactly why we had to get away from you motherfuckers. So it'll be way too little too late. I mean, when it's time for this black man to walk away from your ass, best believe, motherfucker, I'm walking away from your ass. What part of I have a degree in German don't you understand? What, you think I'm gonna stay in the hood with a degree in German? You niggas don't want to do nothing with German. So I'm like, well, so what the fuck you want me there for? What the fuck am I doing down there? If I have a vision, and your actions, your desires are inconsistent with my vision, you don't want nothing to do with my vision. In worst case scenario, you want to exploit elements of my vision. I mean, dude, need I say more? Need I say more? All you want to do is hold near and dear to this hood mentality, and it's getting you nowhere. Because, at least during the Jim Crow era, that was probably the one and only time that y'all actually did come together, and it was probably by force, no doubt. Because, I know for a fact, back in the roaring 20s and 30s and whatnot, they had their shines and sambos too, no doubt, and bootlicks and cones, and black buffoons, and harlots. But ever since LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson, went up in there and, finally in his satanic genius, found a way to destroy the communitah. Because, in their satanic jealous rage towards you Negroes, they were coming at you with firebombs, with racist ass police officers just shooting you on sight. And we always had something to react to that. To respond to that. We had the Black Panthers. We had Black Wall Street, where you had black folks and white folks in this country literally fighting each other over the resources of America. But who would have thought at some point after the civil rights movement that one of these motherfuckers would finally come up with a way, hey, after receiving backlash from other countries like Russia, especially Russia, because you know the Cold War and everything, that they would come up with, like I said, a satanically genius plan of, the most effective plan in destroying the communitah. And in addition to flooding the community with drugs and guns, subsidized housing, Section 8 housing, and food stamps. I'm not getting so off subject as you may think, because if anything, I'd like to think I'm still on point, because even though I've never been on subsidized housing or food stamps, the reality of that world has had a direct effect on me, an indirect and direct. It is pointed out, and it's through that foundation that it established the black man's plight of, basically post civil rights era. That's why when a black man is pursuing a degree in bioengineering, he's quote unquote acting white. And by that logic, that means George Washington Carver was acting white. By that logic, the founding fathers of American computer and electrical engineering were acting white. Because yes, those were brothers who were the founding fathers of American computer and electrical engineering, which had a full effect on the entirety of the world. Because a lot of American engineering ended up becoming world engineering, because the world followed suit. And hell, I don't even own the book yet, and I know for a fact that's in that book, blacks practically invented everything. This is why I've never bought into the whole stereotype about what the black man's plight is. The black man's plight is engineering, fool. It is inventiveness. So, what am I not doing what am I not doing that's the black man's plight? You see how, it's all twisted. It's all topsy-turvy. It's all topsy-turvy. And like I said, man, I've been questioning it since I've seen it. Ever since I bore witness to it, I questioned the black man's plight and what that's all about. What's this gang culture about? What's this with, Glocktavius shooting up? I'm like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? We went from shooting at the Klan to becoming the Klan. What the fuck is that? And you were given a podium. You were given a chance to explain yourself. Now that we know what the fuck is going on, it's time to separate from y'all. Just like from all our other adversaries. And I'm here to say that time is now. It's finally now. It's finally here. And it's been and believe me, nigga, believe me, Shine. Like I said, this ain't directed towards my mother. This is more directed specifically towards those Memphis Shines. All them motherfuckers. But I will state this, that my mother was basically, at best, a collaborator, an enabler. And I'm here to tell you, in case you ain't figured out what's going on, God has created that beam of separation. But back towards the shines and the shinettes, the coons and the coonettes, nigga, it's been time. It's been time to separate from your black ass. Because I'd never fuck with you like that. I never liked you motherfuckers. Just as much as you motherfuckers claim to never like me. Only thing is, it's the differences of opinion. It's the differences of why we never liked each other. Because while you was out destroying, we was out building. And you felt some type of way about that. And hey, so did we. I'm like, nigga, you making us look bad. And then having the nerve to get mad at us because we not enabling your shit. Your sense of entitlement. So, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. But let me just say all that to say that that's what's going on from here on out, bro. If we're gonna deal with the woman, if there is a woman out there with which to deal, that's cool. If she's out there, if she exists, that's the question we all, hey, does she exist? Because if she doesn't, hey, that's fine. Because based off of what is going on and how we can correlate that, we can take that all the way back to the Garden of Eden. It's time to separate from the woman anyway. She's toxic as fuck. And in no shape or form am I promoting homosexuality. Hell no. But with the way it's going, bro, you gonna be the one that's gonna be wearing the dress, and she gonna be the one wearing the pants. Because that's where the world is going. And we can't go where the world is going, because the world is going to hell. We ain't of the world anyway, so why are we following that bullshit? So, yeah, I'm going to just leave it at that, y'all. Catch y'all in the next video. I'm out.